Hey everyone, Cynthia here with the Nameless Homestead. Today we're going to be going over how to feed your bees in a drought. On the western side of the United States, you may have noticed that pretty much everywhere is in an absolutely horrendous drought right now. I am in eastern Washington near Idaho, and we have received like no rain. Unlike western Washington over on the coast, eastern Washington is actually a lot drier. We don't have a rainy season year round like you might in Tacoma, Puyallup, or Seattle. I live near the Spokane area, and if I remember my facts correctly, we're actually considered in semi-desert conditions. So our conditions are closer to what you would see maybe more in the Idaho Panhandle or central Idaho. If you're familiar with that sort of landscape, that's us. So we do get long periods of very dry weather, especially in the summer. Generally, we stop getting rain by the end of June and we don't see it again until the end of August. The springs and falls, however, we get lots of rain. It's lush and green out here from like the end of March until June, and then it becomes the dry, barren desert. This year, however, is different. This year, we basically didn't get a spring. We don't have any mushrooms. We didn't even get so much as a puffball. Foraging has been trash. The wildflowers are not blooming hardly at all. Only our yarrow is just starting to come into bloom after a small recent rainfall we've had. And this doesn't bode well for the bees. So they need our help right now. We're helping them by supplementing their feed so we make sure that they get enough to eat and they can build up honey stores. At this rate, we're not even sure if we're gonna get a honey harvest this year. It's been so bad. So if you are the praying kind, please pray for rain, because the forecasts aren't looking like they're going to improve for the rest of the year. Now, if you find yourself in a situation like me where there's no nectar flow because there's no rain, so there's almost no flowers, you can still manage this. It's not ideal. We don't love to have to supplement feed, but you can do it. So let me flip the camera around and get set up, and I will show you how to make feed and nectar for your bees to get you through the driest parts of the summer or through a drought. For this recipe, all you're gonna need are 2 ingredients: regular store-bought cane sugar and hot water. The tools you will need are a bucket to carry it in and a ladle or some sort of pitcher to pour the feed into your feeders inside your beehives. This recipe is super simple. In order to mimic a nectar flow, we are going to mix equal parts water and sugar. You don't have to be super exact. I'm just going to use a liquid measuring cup up to 4 cups, and I'm going to mix 20 cups of sugar with 20 cups of water to feed our 3 hives. If you don't have super exact measurements, it's not gonna make that much of a difference. I'm gonna go over my other jar and add like 1 more cup of sugar from my smaller jar's contents, and then we're gonna add in 20 cups of piping hot water. The water out of my tap is nuclear, so I can just use tap water, but you might want to either turn up your hot water tank or just boil 20 cups of water to add to this, because if you don't use super hot water, the sugar crystals will not dissolve all the way, and that's a pain in the rear end. You do want to get the sugar crystals completely dissolved in the water. Okay, I did slightly less than 20 cups of water because I had slightly less than 20 cups of sugar. Time to go for another buy, I guess, unfortunately. Now we're just gonna mix this up until it's completely dissolved. I'll get on my bee suit and I'll meet you out at the hives. driving out here, and I just had to turn off the tractor for a second and just show you guys how ridiculous this is. We're entering into the back part of my property. We're only the second owners of this homestead. ever. So, and the previous owners I got to know quite well. Very, very sweet family. They basically left the back, like 2/3 of the property pretty much untouched, undeveloped, and they own the place since like the 60s or 70s, I believe. So we get so many beautiful flowers and shrubs and all sorts of native plants and wildlife usually in our property. I mean, just bursting with all the colors of the rainbow: yarrow, mullein, plantain, Hopi blanket flower, daisies. And this is what it looks like right now. It's so sad. Look at my poor, sad, dry land. We do have some flowers. We still have our beautiful yarrow. Look at that. Hello, yarrow. Such a beautiful, wonderful medicinal herb. And these are the Hopi blanket flower. We have a little bit of those. We have a little bit of fleabane growing, and we have arrowleaf balsam root out there. You can see the big leaves, but the flowers are all gone. They barely lasted at all this year. We have some dogsbane as well still, because nothing kills dogsbane, which has these cute little pink flowers and produces this reddish pollen that the bees harvest. But it is just not like it was. Usually it's a cornucopia of color and fragrance, and yeah, we don't got much. So yeah, poor bees need some supplemental food because of it. So let's do that. The bees are hungry. How are we doing, ladies? Oop. How are we doing? Are we all very hungry today? So before anybody says anything about it, I usually do not wear gloves. I'm also in sandals. That's my own personal risk, and I feel completely comfortable with it. It's a beautiful day. Our girls are not terribly aggressive. Honeybees in general are not terribly aggressive, and I'm giving them honey, and I will smoke them lightly, so they'll be plenty distracted. I find gloves just hinder my dexterity, and I want to make sure that when I am pouring the nectar I've created, that I'm not spilling it over the edges as much as I can. Little drizzle isn't gonna kill anything, isn't gonna be the end of the world, but I'm a klutz naturally, so I'm setting myself up for success. If you like to wear gloves, or if you don't like to wear a bee suit at all, that is your choice, and that's just fine. Now, there are many ways to feed bees. Some people will use things as simple as chicken feeders, the little plastic top that have the little troughs, and they'll put like stones and that sort of thing in there so the bees can just go in and drink ad lib and they don't have to open the boxes. And that's fine, but I personally find that using external feeders tends to attract a lot of other insects that I can't and don't want to afford to feed. I'm feeding my honeybees. So we're gonna go ahead and use drop-in feeders, which I'll show you in just a moment, to feed our bees. And if you guys are interested in using that type of feeder but don't have access to them, I'll put an Amazon link in the description box below. So check that out if you need to. Let's crack open this hive and see how the girls are doing. This is Hive Alpha. Take off our lid and our spacer. How are we doing, ladies? Oh. Yep. Pretty dry, no more food in there. So this is our in-hive feeder. It's best practice to put in a stick or a piece of wood or something in there with your feeder so that when bees go down in like that, they have a way to climb back out and they don't drown. And honestly, these ladies are being so chill, and they're mostly out busy foraging at this time of the day that I don't even think I need to smoke them. So just get your measuring cup. Nectar. And then I'm gonna come at this from the edge so it's less awkward. Fill this up. And say it's lunchtime, ladies. another. Maybe 8 cups. Ah, I'm spilling some on the outside. Oh well, they'll clean it up. All right, try to distribute it pretty evenly. So let's open up the next hive. Lastly, oh my gosh, I got it all over my shoe. Holy smokes. I'm such a slob, I swear. Such a klutz. Oh, we're doing so good. Now this is the hive that was a split from our alpha hive, and they're doing so good. We had a problem with staying queen right earlier in the spring, so it's been very dramatic. It looks like we're all doing quite well. And it's okay if there's bees in the feeder. They will get out of the way and they may end up in the drink. But if you've got a stick in there, like I do, then it will bob up, they will climb on, they will crawl out, they will lick themselves clean and be just fine. And that's all there is to it. Now these hives will probably completely consume that 12 cups or so of sugar water in like a day, and we're feeding them twice a week currently. We're not looking to completely replace their feed. We just want to give them that little bit of oomph extra since it's so dry and awful out. Now, I gotta get to work closing up these hives and packing in all of my gear. So if you liked this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do leave me a comment down below. Say hi, let me know what kind of content you would like to see in the future on our homestead, and I'll see you all next week.